The Red House will once again become Trinidad and Tobago's seat of democracy, following a grand reopening ceremony to take place in Port of Spain tomorrow. Members of both Houses of Parliament and specially invited guests will gather as President of the Republic, Paula-Mae Weekes, presides over the official reopening of this historic building. The reopening comes after more than 10 years of restorative and reconstruction works. Cherrylene Lewis gives us an historical insight into the Red House.
Built in 1844, the Red House is located in Port of Spain, bounded on the north by Knox Street, on the south by Hart Street, on the east by Abercrombie Street, and on the west by St. Vincent Street. It's the seat of Parliament and an iconic building for Trinidad and Tobago. It was painted red in 1897 to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria. The current structure, however, was built after the original government administration building was destroyed by fire during the water riots in 1903. It was at that time intended to house the legislative chamber and the offices of the governor, the attorney general, the colonial treasurer, and the law courts. The design was revised by Daniel Han, and it was he who added the high central cupola, popularly known as the rotunda, the ornate stucco ceilings in the southern and northern chambers, and the fortifications around the roof. The Red House came under threat in 1990 when Jamaat al-Muslimin stormed the Parliament chamber during a sitting of the House of Representatives and held the Prime Minister, the late A.N.R. Robinson, and his government ministers hostage for several days. There was a significant damage done to the chamber and other parts of the Red House, requiring considerable refurbishment works then. But given the age of the building and damage over time, the government of Trinidad and Tobago decided to undertake a major restoration of the Red House and establish a distinct parliamentary district for the permanent occupation of the Parliament. Historian Professor Emeritus BRINSLEY stressed the importance of the Red House.
That particular spot was a sacred First Nations site. And the First Nations chose that particular site because underneath the site of the Red House there's an aquifer, a permanent spring, which is still there. So, I mean, they chose that site largely because of it was a site with water.
Professor SAMAROOL added that the 1990 attempted coup was also indicative of the importance of Parliament and how much it means to citizens.
Indicated the importance that people attach to the Parliament, because the Muslims considered that if they went and took control of the Red House, if they went and took control of the Parliament, then that meant taking control of the government.
Furthermore, Professor SAMAROOL viewed the reopening of the Red House as continued strength in the nation's democracy.
The flame that commemorated the attempted Muslim takeover has not been abandoned, but it's now going to be put on the northern side of the Red House. So I think, once again, the opening is going to symbolize that continuous importance of the Red House, that symbolic significance as the seat of government, and therefore, how the country should be run or how the country should not be run.
The reopening takes place Friday at 10:30 a.m. Cherrylene Lewis, TTT News.